Let's talk about the truth will set you free. It's actually a quote from the Bible from John 8:32. I heard Jim Rohn talking about it in a really great way. He said, so why does the truth set you free? What's important about that? Because the truth helps amend errors and correct our mistakes. Tony Robbins says, you need to see things as they are, not worse than they are, but as they are. Why is that? Because that allows you to correct your mistake and prevent disasters. You can be like the Titanic cruising, and if you don't see that iceberg coming and steer away from it, disaster is potentially the result. You could lose all hands and the boat could sink. So you don't want to be on a sinking boat. You want to be able to see what's happening, correct for it, keep the boat afloat, and make sure that all hands are enjoying a good life. So what does that mean? It means taking stock, stopping on a regular basis and looking at your life, looking at your business, looking at your finances and seeing where are they really at and what can I do about it. I love Churchill's quote about history when he said that if you don't study history, you're doomed to repeat it. If you don't study your own history, you're doomed to repeat it. Socrates said, very wisely, that the unexamined life is not worth living. What does that mean? If you're not reviewing your life, taking stock, then you might be well heading down the road to disaster and you don't even know it. Why does a shop do a stock take? Why do they take stock of where they're at? Because they need to know where they're at in relation to where they want to be going, what they've sold, what they need to sell, and what they can do to market or promote those sales. So if they don't know that, then they could have all this stock sitting on the shelf worth potentially thousands or millions of dollars and not be in a position to move it on because they're not even aware it's still there. So you need to take stock, do a stock take. And I think I would advise doing that weekly, probably on a Friday or maybe a Sunday night where you look back over your week and you plan the week that is coming. I like that thing about, what you can measure, you can manage. How do we do that in business and life? We have KPIs, that is, key performance indicators. Numbers, figures that give us an idea of how we're performing in relation to our goals and where we want to be going. So what's a process of looking back over what the result has been of our goals, of our KPIs, and seeing them for what they are, then making progress. I learned a great process from the Australian Air Force actually in how they run their debriefing sessions. So let's go over that. Now I'll just clean the board just so we can kind of see how they look at a mission and review it to see whether they achieve their goals and their objectives. So we've mentioned that you've got your goals. You've got the things that you want to achieve. Now, how do you measure whether the goal has actually been achieved? Presumably, you've set up some KPIs, some key performance indicators that indicate whether or not the goals have been met or not. Now, let's assume that you're reviewing those goals and those KPIs, and what's the system that you have in place to do that? Now, I love what these guys do. So they do their debrief. and they divide it into the three R's. We'll call it result, reason, response. Hopefully we'll get all that in on the board. And let's create a bit of a plan for that. So, what was our result? So this is that you might get together and you discuss, okay, this was our goal. What was the result? Did we meet our goal? Oh, no, we didn't. Okay, what was the reason? Now, there might be lots of reasons. The reasons might come down to the goal was set too far out there. It was too large a goal to achieve in the time available. Maybe the reason was the plan that you had in place was an inadequate plan. Maybe the tactics you were using were the wrong tactics for the situation. Maybe the communication between your department, your family, wasn't up to scratch. You hadn't put the right communication practices in place so that everybody knew what was going on. Maybe the support structures weren't there. Maybe the accountability structures weren't there. Maybe the KPIs you were measuring were the wrong KPIs. Whatever it might be, there might be lots of reasons that you can come up with why you didn't achieve those goals. But now the important part, and this is the gold, this is the gem, it's how do you respond to that? Now this is going to be important because you need to take out ego. And ego can get upset, ego's pride can be hurt, ego can get carried away with its own importance, whatever it might be. You need to get your ego and the ego of your staff and or family out of the picture so that you're purely seeing this as a result or a response to improve the situation and bring success back into the equation. And you can't do that if you're going to let your ego get involved. So no names, no pack drill. This is not about blaming anybody. It's about finding the truth of what went wrong and dealing with it. It might be the truth of what went right and doing more of it. So, it doesn't work just because there's a negative result. It can also work because there's a positive result. And you want to know, why did we get that positive result? What was the reason that we did so well in that marketing program? And what are we going to do now? Well, we're going to ramp it up, or we're going to keep doing what we're doing, whatever it might be. So it can have a positive result, but it's also extremely useful to know the truth of when things go wrong, isn't it? So get your ego out of the equation, and then discuss logically, without emotion, what your response can be. So with communication not great in the whole exercise, well then you can sit down and set up a communication structure or hierarchy, a process that is going to work for you going forward. You might decide, as we said earlier, that the goal actually was an unrealistic goal and it needs to be backed up a bit. It might be that the plan you put in place, as I said, was inadequate, and you can fill in the blanks and get the plan working, operating a little bit better. Maybe it just needs a bit of tweaking to get the result you want. A bit of experimentation. As I said, maybe the things you were measuring weren't the right things to be measuring, so you can change that. There's lots of responses that you can make. And now you have a plan for going forward. You've seen the potential disaster. You've recognized it, you're now aware of it. Now that you're aware of it, you can put the positive things in place to avoid that situation and create the success and the opportunity and the possibility that you want to gain out of the situation, out of the business, out of your life, whatever it might be. So I hope this process has been helpful for you and that you put it into effect. You have some sort of now a plan and a goal for reviewing your life and business in a microscopic way every day, but certainly every week, certainly every quarter of the year, and 6 monthly and annually, so that you are really getting the best out of your life and situation, and that the plans and the goals and the missions that you're putting in place have every opportunity to be successful. It does require you to know the truth, to set KPIs, to measure them, be aware of them, and when they're not working, to respond appropriately to them. Go for it. Just do it. Greg Diamond from Happy, Healthy, Wise and Wealthy. Hope you enjoyed that. Stay tuned for more, bigger and better videos.